Hey everybody, how you doing? Hey, listen, I believe that in our entire life, no matter if you are in business, no matter if you are a husband, a wife, a teacher, we all are in some form of leadership. And I believe that there's principles and guidelines and things that we can be able to live by to be effective in that. Now, just say for yourself, you might be saying, well, look, I'm none of those. I'm not in a leadership position. I don't got no kids or nothing. The reality is we're all leading somebody. And so today, what I wanted to be able to do is I've got someone that I know is going to bring some wisdom, some insight to us all so we can be able to make sure that in our lives, we are leading the right way. And I believe sometimes to be able to do that, we need the tools and the insights and the wisdom on how to do that effectively. So make sure you stay right there, share it to somebody because you don't want to miss this conversation. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram, Roche, and on this platform, we highlight ways where men can be able to experience greatness in their everyday lives. And today is like no other. It's one of those days that we're going to be able to give unto you those T's and those wisdoms that you need to be able to be great. I want you to do this before we dive into this conversation. Make sure if you're listening on any platforms, a podcast platform from Google, Apple, Anchor, Spotify, and all the other hundreds of different platforms that they have out there, make sure that you subscribe. If you're watching this live, make sure you take the time to go and subscribe so you can stay a part of these conversations as well as on the go. You can listen to this in your car while you're taking a walk. Sometimes I do while I'm exercising. I listen to podcasts so that he can help me to continue to know where in the direction that I'm trying to go in my life. So for those that are on, make sure that you are sharing this. Share this, follow, as well as like, because these all things help for more people to be able to get the same wisdom and guidance that you are getting today. Now, I'm not going to prolong this no longer. I've been waiting for this conversation. So do me a favor, everyone that is watching live, for those that are listening to this in your car, you're listening to this as you're walking. I know you don't want to be the crazy person walking in the gym or doing your exercise and you're going to clap in the midst of all of this. So do me a favor, just tap your fingers together and welcome our guest, Mr. Jeff Wilson. How are you doing, sir? Welcome to the platform.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I like the little clap so you don't scare anybody that way, right? Yeah. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for coming on. Do me a favor before we get into our conversation, kind of introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah, my career has spanned over 30 plus years. You can probably tell by looking at me that I've been around a while, and the links are there for you to jump into if you want to learn more. I've spent the bulk of my career in higher education, but in higher education, I've had multiple roles. I've a lot of years as administrator, dean. I've also had several years, 7, 8 years as a full-time faculty member in the School of Business at a university. And I've continued to teach in doctoral and master's programs and leadership and courses on change management, those kinds of things. So I love leadership. I love people. And I love helping them to grow and to maximize their own journeys. And so whenever I can come alongside somebody and have a conversation like we are today, I'm all in. So thanks again.
Yes, sir. Well, as I stated already to you personally, I'm personally excited about this conversation.
Me too.
And so, one of the things that for me, when I had the opportunity to go on and look at your site and look at the things that you do, I took the time to kind of watch your videos and listen to the testimonials. And I really sensed the same, as we talked offline, I sensed the same heart and was like, he is a person that has wisdom, that has experience, but most importantly, he's pushing people so that they can be able to be their best selves. and he's helping to unlock those things within them so that they can be able to achieve those greatness in every area of their lives. And so I was excited. I said, I cannot wait till I get Jeff on so we can be able to have this conversation. So do me a favor. Tell me, when did this start? Like, when did your journey, this type of journey, started?
Yeah. Well, and that's a question that could take a long time to answer, but I'll try. Everybody can clap because I'm going to try to keep it simple. When I was finishing up my graduate degree just about 20 years ago, I had done my dissertation research in partnership with the Gallup organization, and the study was on strengths. Using the strengths assessment, it was on helping. At that time, I was focusing on college students, helping those college students to identify the best things about them, and then learn how to apply those, to plug those into their life and use them. So that was where I started really having the opportunity to both do some classroom kinds of things, but then also as a part of the study, I did a lot of one-on-one interactions and exit interviews with the people who participated. And so from that, I saw the opportunity to have impact, to have, to shine a light on something they never maybe noticed or realized about themselves. Right. And so how that played out in the years since then, whether it's been university classroom or doing training for companies or one-on-one coaching, the joy in all of that for me is to help the lights come on, to use a familiar phrase, to help people understand that what they have is more powerful than they probably understand. And so when I even first started considering looking at the podcast and I saw greatness, I'm like, I'm into greatness. I'm into more than my own. I'm into helping people find their greatness. Yeah. And so that has played out in a lot of those different ways over the years, to where 4.5 years ago, I just said, you know what, I'm doing this. I want to formally organize a company and begin to be more intentional about making this available to people. And it just continued to open those doors and opportunities for people to work with me and to learn with me. I'm constantly learning. And so it's just a joy to do that alongside other people who are growing and looking for greatness too.
Yeah. Now, through your journey, and I know you have been able to experience and see these things. What are some of the, I guess you would say, stumbling blocks that you have noticed that has hindered or affected people from really opening up that box of greatness within them?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. And I've bumbled those up enough myself that I can just give you some examples for my own journey. Because one of the things that I talk about over the last few years is this myth of perfection, where we are misled, or we get this wrong idea that for me to be a person of influence, for me to be someone who's highly successful, I have to do all the right things and say all the right things and no missteps and no misunderstandings. And that's too much pressure, because I'm a broken, flawed human being doing the best I can. And so the myth of perfection doesn't work. And it took me too long to figure that out. But once I did, then it was so freeing, to say, okay, I'm still all about growth and being better, but I can give myself some space and grace to be human. Yeah. And what I found when I started getting that was, instead of people maybe thinking I had to have it all together, that they could see that, hey, this is a real dude who knows a few things and can help lead us and guide us, but we don't have to pretend to be perfect. And so that was a stumbling block for me early on in my career that lasted too long, to be honest with you. But it's been freeing to understand that, you know what, people are more interested in authentic, warm, personal, and real than they are perfection, flawless. Right. Yeah. I couldn't pull it off. Maybe somebody else can.
I agree with you. I think sometimes the challenge for people, sometimes in reference to trying to change or become better, surely when somebody is helping them, is when they can identify with the person that's actually helping. So if I'm coming off like I got it all together and I'm just this perfect being and now I'm trying to save you and
it closes people down. It shuts them down. Because if they're like, oh, well, you've got it all together and I don't, so I guess I can't really do much with what I have.
Yeah.
And the truth is, when they can put their shield down, put their perfectionist tendencies down, and really say, here's what I can bring. I don't have everything, but man, I'm good at a couple of 3 things here, and I'm offering them up to help our team or to help this this company or whatever the case would be. So to me, that's when real connection and real synergy and real cultural growth in organization starts to happen, is when we're looking for excellence, but we're not hiding behind this shield of perfection, because it's not real.
Yeah. Now, for on a business stand, because you did mention this context for business, on a business stand, how have you been able to see like this dynamic change? Because I know sometimes we only look at, okay, the people that's probably not feeling like they're great, or quote unquote, the people at the bottom. And so those are the people you got to encourage and build so they can help that, but have you seen that it's not just in them, but it's also in, I guess you would say, in the CEO or in, the different tiers. And then how do you help them? Like, what tips or wisdom do you give them so that they can continue to be better?
Yeah. It's been interesting to see from students who were in the study I was talking about 20 years ago. I remember one of them at the exit interview, she'd been working with me for 4 months of a semester. And I was asking that question kind of like, oh, what are some takeaways? What are some things you've learned? And she paused a minute. She said, for the first time in my life, I feel like it's okay to be me.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was an 18-year-old first-time college student. And I thought, man, bless her heart. She's lived 18 years and she just now got a sense that it's okay to be her. Flip that around to, 30, 40 years down the road. And I work with people who are in the CEO role, who are senior executive roles. And they often are stuck in this place that I call the isolation of leadership. And it kind of relates back to that idea that, oh, we think because we're in charge or that we're a senior leader that we've got to have it all together.
Right.
And I can remember multiple times with different senior leaders that I've worked with, being in a one-on-one coaching situation with the door closed, it's just the 2 of us, and having them say, I can't talk to anybody else about this stuff.
Wow.
And it's, it's business related. I mean, I'm not a shrink, but
right.
but they've often said, I answer to a chairperson on my board, can't just free flow any thought I have that way. Right. I have direct reports on my team of senior leaders. I can't just bounce everything off of their, off the wall with them, or to think out loud with them all the time. So he the person I'm thinking of, he said, I can bounce ideas around and kind of throw things off the wall, and you don't freak out. You don't over respond, because you're a neutral third party to just say, oh, I don't think that's a crazy idea. Or, kind of going, I don't know about that one,
Right.
And having that safe space has been one of the things that I've seen as outcomes repeatedly, is just where they bring me in to serve as an executive coach. And I do that, but over time, it's like, I feel like I become a trusted advisor also to help them to have some space to say, man, I'm not sure about this, or I may want to start a new product line at my company, but I'm not sure my CEO or not sure my chair is ready for that. Or if I mention to my staff who's, short staffed and overworked right now, they're going to lose their minds if they think we're going to add more, product lines and things like that. And so it allows them to have that conversation. It allows them to have that safe space, and it helps them stay out of that isolation of leadership.
Yeah. So it's it's difficult sometimes even for those type of leaders
Right.
to just be themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We can think, and I probably have done this too, is, we can think, oh, well, the younger that a person is, the less they know, and they need more feedback, they need more encouragement, they need reassurance at times.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, we all do.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we do.
And people do. I mean, even really successful people, you can pick up a book by CEOs of household name companies, and you read these books about their journey, and they're like, I was terrified that I would make the wrong decision, or I would, I didn't know, or they had self-doubts. And so I'm like, can we all just say we all have moments of doubt, right? We don't always know everything we need to know. Yeah. And feeling like we're not alone in that space, man, that can be new life to just go, you felt that way too? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the topic is. I feel like when someone, shares thought or an experience, and you say, golly, Hiram, I felt that way too. Gosh, that is so encouraging to know that you did, and you're through it, and I'm in the middle of it right now, and maybe I'll get through it, and things will be okay.
Yeah.
That shared experience is so powerful, I think, for all of us.
Now, have you seen, or I would say also encouraged, in reference to when you're talking about even like a team concept of us sharing with one another so that we can build? And for me, I love the concept of a team. I believe that everyone has their strengths. When we bring it all to the table, we can accomplish, just extraordinary things because everyone is bringing what they do best at the table. So when you have those moments, I think, do you believe also that it's a good moment of where it's saying, look, I'm a little scared. I know that this is idea. I know this is a great idea. I know it might help, but I really don't know how this is going to work. I really don't. So I need you to help me,
because when we do that, that says to our team, whoever's in that room, to say, he's human.
Right.
He's got, this is a good idea, but we're all kind of nervous, Yeah. I mean, I feel sometimes like that 10-year-old kid going out the high dive at the community pool the first time, where you're just like, well, I see there's water down there, and I don't think I'm really going to die because there's a lifeguard right there, but your heart is just going. So we have to use our brain, but at the same time, it's like, that sense of nerves or fear can be our friend, but then other times it can hold us back. And so, I think that's some of my own reflections going back to earlier days in my leadership journey, was thinking I had to pull off that perfection and execution, and everything was just so impressive that I would just be amazing every day.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted that, but I didn't accomplish that every day.
Right.
Once in a while, I'd have a good idea,
Yeah. But again, like you were saying, we're normal. I mean, we're human. Yeah. So sometimes we're going to come with excellent things, and sometimes we're not going to have a good day. Those are just a part of being normal and human.
It is.
What would you tell the person? I'm thinking in my mind of a person that's about to, they've had a business. Now they're actually about to have their first staff. They're about to open and try to get a staff now. What wisdom would you give that person before they open up that door?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing that came to my mind was, you want to have good people. And that goes into your onboarding. That goes on to, the hiring process and bringing that group of people together before you open the door. Because for a long time, and I'm not the only person that says this, but for a long time, I believed if you bring in good people who have compassionate hearts, who are kind, who are respectful, who are, they understand it's not all about me. If you can bring in a group of people with that mindset, I can teach you whatever task, whatever software, whatever
Mm,
process or protocol we need to learn.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the inverse is also true, that if there's someone, or unfortunately multiple someone's on a team that's just mean spirited and egotistical and prideful, and I don't care about you as long as I get mine. I mean, if that kind of mentality comes in, I've rarely seen success of fixing that without
Yeah.
just removing the individual that has that kind of heart, that has that kind of attitude. So it goes back to the old saying, you hire good people and then you can teach them whatever that you need them to know.
Mm,
But it doesn't work the other way,
yeah.
because there's just things that need fixed sometimes that I can't fix.
Yeah.
But if it's not an acceptable way to treat colleagues or customers, and just say, I think somewhere else is going to be a better fit for you, because this just isn't the way we want to treat each other. And so sometimes you have to wish them well and say goodbye. But
Yeah.
it's building that team of good people
Yeah.
that will work hard, that are teachable, that will learn whatever it is they need to learn. Because once
Mhm.
they know that, they'll know how to do the job, and they'll still be good people.
Right. Right. Because the core of who they are already good people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about, in reference, just again looking at all the different facets of things in people's lives that you
Mm-hmm.
do speak into, and my thought was, surely in the time frame that we're in right now, it's a lot of leaders that's in a very awkward position.
Yeah.
They're in a position that they've never been in before.
Mm-hmm.
We've never been in a chaotic moment for businesses like we
Mm-hmm.
are in now. And
Mm-hmm.
I have talked to people that's doing business and they're stressed out. They really don't know how to do it. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to direct their people. Like,
Right.
it's so many, different things that is going on within them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that you have had the opportunity through this, now going, we're about to end a whole nother year. We're getting close
Mm-hmm.
to ending a whole nother
I
year.
know.
And
Mm-hmm.
and so I know through these time frames you've had an opportunity to speak into and help these type of people. What is some of the wisdom as leaders? What is some of the wisdom that you've been able to help
Mm-hmm.
give to these type of people?
Yeah, it's giving them.
Mhm.
First of all, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching sometimes with
Mhm.
companies too. And I remember a conversation a few weeks ago. I was doing a one-on-one with a department manager, and I said, you, with what was going on in that person's life, with some
Right.
illness and some family members and real struggles, I said, there's just some times that you got to give your own self some grace. This was
Mm.
a task-oriented, hardworking, faithful, long-term employee that just
Yeah.
was wanting to not miss any, did not miss checking any boxes. And I said, I get that, but as a leader, you've also got to give yourself some grace. And then
Mm.
we talk some more about the relational factors and how important those are right now,
Right.
on a team of people that work literally shoulder to shoulder every day,
Yeah.
is to pay extra close attention, to ask extra questions like, hey, how are you doing? This has
Mhm.
been a rough time for everybody. How's things with your family?
Yeah.
I think we're discovering that those things that we just called small talk is
Mhm.
big talk.
Yeah.
Because when we say, Hiram, how are things going with your family? Or Hiram, how's your new job? Or how do you feel like you're doing in this new role?
Mhm.
Then that says, I care. It
Yeah.
matters to me. And it also
Right.
gives you permission to go, I feel pretty good in these couple areas, but I could still use some more direction with this. I don't feel
Mhm.
totally confident. I'm gonna go, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I've got some time this afternoon. You want to work on that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole different level of engagement when we ask those questions and we're interested in the honest answers.
Yeah.
To just because as we all know, mental health has taken a beating the last year and a half,
It
and it
has.
wasn't in great shape before that
Right.
for most people in the workplace.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you that, was in because I know that we have our surely when you're talking about people in business, and really it's just people in general.
Yeah.
Everyone has their personal struggles that they're going
They
through.
do. They do.
And then you have, then we still got to do life. Like
Right.
I still got to go to work. I still got to make sure that,
Yeah.
everything is good here.
Mhm.
And sometimes my thought process is like, okay, as a leader, yes, there's moments, like you said, we have to give ourselves grace. We have to say, okay, look, I know you got to get X, Y, and Z. You got a whole list of things that you got to get checked off,
Mhm.
but you need
Mhm.
to take some time for you though. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and
true.
right. And it's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
for you to take a
Yeah.
break for a minute.
Yeah.
But I know sometimes, and I know you probably have noticed this as well, that sometimes in the most chaotic moments, we feel like we have to do more.
Right. Yeah.
And that becomes more added stress and more added
Mhm.
pressure.
It does.
But then the people that are around you are now
Mhm.
being lost. The
Right.
people around you that are working for you or working with
Mhm.
you, they're feeling lost because, like you said, we're not doing the things that we used
Mhm.
to call small talk.
Yeah.
We're not doing those things because now
Yeah.
we're concentrated on survival,
Mhm.
and surviving in this.
Yeah, you do. I mean, we as you mentioned, where does small talk happen if our team's 100% remote? We
Right. Yeah.
pour a coffee and hold it up to the screen, and well, that's okay. But I'd rather talk to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
friend to friend. And so it does. It's it struggles in businesses, and it really any organization where we're having to overcome those things. Like you said, that are going on at home, or my car is broken down and I'm having to borrow a car, or somebody's picking me up to take me to work, or
Yeah.
there's 2 months at the end of the money, all those kind of things that are playing into life right now.
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
and we all feel it, even though we don't maybe realize it in others, and give them some grace and give ourselves some grace.
Yeah.
Because guess what, these lists we have is like, oh, I've got so many things on my list now. Every once in a while, if someone knows me better, where they won't think I'm being a Weisenheimer, I'll just say, and how many times have you completed your list, to where it's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. There's nothing left, right?
Right.
It's like the work matters. Okay. It
Right.
matters. It's important. We want to do it with excellence, but the work is always going to be there. Right.
Yeah.
And a
That's
mom
true.
or a dad who's advanced years, who's not in good health, or, if someone with a family has children that are really
Mhm.
needing some extra TLC or those kind of things. It's like, I think in the process of this pandemic, we've maybe gotten somewhat better at it, saying, you know what, I'm going to take a mental health day and I'm going to go walk in the park with my family,
Yeah.
and I'll be back tomorrow, and the list will still be here, right?
Right.
But I'll be
Yeah.
better able to tackle it, because when the chaos comes, like you talked about, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's, for me, it's like the more chaotic things seem to get, those are the times that I really try to slow down a little bit,
Mm.
instead of just pedaling faster, pedaling faster, pedaling faster, which just pumps more adrenaline into our bodies and creates more stress. It's
Right.
to say,
Right.
okay, let's just pause. Let's breathe. Let's take account
Hmm.
of what is a true, red level triage.
Right.
Thinking ER, ER rooms. There's red
Yeah.
level, there's yellow level, there's green level. If
Hmm.
I come in with a small laceration on my index finger that needs a couple stitches, they're not going to put me ahead of someone who's struggling to breathe, who's been in a terrible accident or something like
Yep.
that.
That's
And
true.
it's
Yeah.
easy for us to act like everything in our life is red level,
Yeah.
ER, a red alert. And
Hmm.
it's usually not.
Right.
Sometimes, but usually it's not everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's good. Anyone that's listening, anyone that's watching, um, I want you to take advantage of this thought. Is sometimes I think we have to sit back and breathe before we move.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to examine, okay, where really am I? Okay, I just have a headache. So I might just need to go either drink some water, something practical. But when we're talking about something that when you sit back and look or take the time to really examine, where it's like, no, I do need a break. I need to take a break.
Yeah.
I need to spend time with my wife, or I need to, like you said, need to go, just spend some time with my children today. I need to put my phone down for a minute and let's just, enjoy each other. I think for me, this moment that we're in has allowed us to really recognize the importance of life again.
I agree.
And so I want, for whoever's listening, whoever's watching, I want you to, yes, we're in a time and an era, and I don't want to say it's just our time in this era that we're in, but everybody wants to be grinders. We all want to be, the hustlers. We want to, no sleep, no resting. We work hard, but it's like in this time frame, we have to all look and say, there's something that's more important than these things. And it's our family, and it's our health. Those things are important. And so I'm thankful again for this conversation so very much. I hope that people are actually taking this in and being able to gather this. One of the pieces that I'm grabbing automatically is making sure that I have a safe zone. I have a place of safety where I can be able to have that sounding board and being able to say, hey, listen, these are they might be crazy, they might be whatever, but I just need to be able to express these pieces so that I can just become and be, like you said, the 18-year-old girl said, I can just be myself. And so I think that is something for me personally that I'm taking in or trying to make sure that I become better in, just being free to be me. And that's stressless when you're just being able to be yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, I've talked a lot over the years about strengths, and as I say, I'm a strengths junkie, and I don't want to quit because I love that it helps people identify the best things about them. The very best things about them, the things that are like DNA hardwired. Gallup calls it, in terms of processing thought, feeling, and behavior. How do we do that? How do we filter that and shape that? And I think when we do that through the lens of what are the best things about me? What are the things that I do best and most naturally that are used productively? That's the extra phrase to add on, is those things used productively for good. Because then there's such great joy in that, of being able to do these few things that I do really well and having it be an uplift, to be an encouragement to somebody else. I mean, that's at the heart of what I try to do every day.
Yeah. I want to do this, and it's not off topic. It's still in the same, and it's a part of this beautiful piece that we're on. And I'm gonna go personal. I'm not gonna go personally general. So there's a lot of people that would deem or say that I might have leadership qualities or those type of beautiful things. I am a husband. I have two handsome sons.
Oh,
and
I haven't seen them, but I believe you.
Thank you. But as a person that is leading or trying to go somewhere, I also have my own insecurities.
Sure.
What would you say for me, or what wisdom or guidance would you give for a person like myself that is dealing with insecurities, just in general?
Well, if we go back a little bit to earlier in conversation, we all have them. So let's establish that baseline. So we all have them. There are things for all of us that hit a nerve or hit a memory or cause some discomfort. So feeling that way is a very human reality. And so that's a baseline for me, is that we all struggle at times, just no matter what it is.
Yeah.
The thing for me is that I often talk about with strengths is that we're utilizing them as tools as ways to create leverage or to overcome those areas that were not our best.
Right.
And so no one is great at everything. And so we do have some insecurities. So I'll give you an example. My top strengths include one called learner. So if I'm in a situation where I feel like, man, I am in over my head, I don't know that I know enough about this topic or anything like that, that we're kind of going, yeah, we can get the imposter syndrome. It's important for me then to be intentional. I use my learner and I ask questions and I seek more information, and I don't try to project that I know all about this and yes, that kind of stuff. So and again, it's part of that putting down that myth of perfection, where we just kind of say, I'm not real familiar with the area of your specialty. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? And so it's partly just recognizing we all have them, and then being willing to go to one of the top strengths we have, and then to use that as a tool to say, I need to learn more about this, or I don't know a lot about that. And so I would say, when we're faced with the reality of that we have those insecurities, is to think, okay, what are some of my top strengths that I can use to help me function better in this setting?
Okay.
And so it's using those best things about us when we have those times that we're facing something that's not the best thing about us.
Right.
And to know that probably behind that facade we see on a lot of people, they have some uncertainty or feel some feelings of uncertainty about, do I belong here? Do I know enough about this topic? Am I doing this right? Do people think I'm doing it okay? I mean, we can drive ourselves over the ledge with those kind of questions, but we all really have those. So hopefully there's some brotherhood there to go, well, we all struggle with them. It's like, you're man enough to admit it.
Yes, sir. No, and I think that's great, because sometimes I think, I'll say for me, I can sometimes lean in focusing on the thing and the strengths that I don't have.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at the things and the strengths that I do have.
Exactly. Yeah. The more that we can focus on those best things about us and understand their tools to help us when we're in situations where we don't have all the answers, we don't know what to do. But by being our authentic self, then we're able to connect with other people. So there's less that sense of like, oh, well, I've got to show up or win over someone. Whereas if they see this is a kind, gracious, intelligent person who just doesn't know all of the information about some subject.
Right.
That's really all it is. It doesn't take away from our meaning or value as human beings. We just don't know everything about everything. Nobody does. Some people act like they do, but they don't.
Right. No, that's true.
I'm not buying it.
No, it is, and that is true. There's a lot of people out here that be acting like they just know every information, every whatever. But but I do, and I hope whoever is listening that this part specifically, everything that has been said throughout this conversation has helped you. But I know a lot of people that deal with that aspect. And so if this word and encouragement that was given to be able to start focusing on your strengths. I know one of my closest friends, he asked me one day, he said, what I want you to do is after we get off the phone, I want you to write down all the things, all your strengths. Everything that you see are your strengths in your own self. And it probably took me 30 minutes to write 3 things. Just because of that, I'm trying to get past all the failures or the negativities. But again, if we can focus on our strengths and not so much on our weaknesses, we can continue to develop to become better. And then surround ourselves with people that are strong in our areas of weakness. And then we can probably become better and better.
Yeah, and it's that vulnerability too of kind of flipping that. So that's a good friend that says, "I want you to write down all of your strengths and all the good things about you." But then
Yeah.
sometimes we struggle with that because we're like, "Oh, am I being prideful?" So I'm not
Right.
good at that. But a way we can flip that is can be one person, can be two, three people that are closest to us
Hmm.
that to say, hey, y'all know that I am flawed and imperfect, and you could take lots of time, tell me what's wrong with me,
Hmm.
but I'm trying to focus on what things are strengths for me, what things I do better than other things. So could
Hmm.
you maybe just jot those down?
Mm.
What I often find is that other person will tell you 10 good things about you, and you'll be going, I got 3 after a half an hour. Because they're not held back by that fear of,
Mm.
well, I don't want to sound this way or that way. They can just gotta go, oh, you're friendly, you got a great laugh, people can talk to you, you smile a lot, they just
Oh,
start bam, 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 start laying, and you're kind of going,
yeah. Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good to know. So sometimes the way I say it, we need someone that we know has our best interest at heart to
Mm.
hold up a mirror and say, "Tell me what you see here.
Yeah.
Tell me what you see." I can get better on the things that are not lovely,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
can affirm the things that I do pretty well that I maybe didn't realize or don't
Yeah.
think about enough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. I
that's
like
right.
that. So as we've already talked, and
Mhm.
I share with you this, at the going close to the end, I normally ask every guest that comes on this specific
Mhm.
question. And so now I pose this beautiful question to you
Yeah,
is what's greatness to you?
yeah. I think it's kind of a culmination of a lot of things that we've been talking about here
Hmm.
in our call, and it's that identification of those best things about you,
Mm.
and then committing yourself to using them for good to influence and impact as many people as possible.
I
Because when we
like
can do that, that's a legacy that we can leave, to say, hey, when I sit down and talk to Hiram, he makes me feel like I'm somebody that matters. He
that.
has the ability to listen well and to do those kinds of things. So whatever those good things are, those strengths are, it's using them to their utmost to make other people's lives better, because that's influence, that's leadership, really, to me.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's excellent.
Thank
I
you.
love that. I love that definition. I really love that
Thank
definition,
you.
and I pray for whoever is listening, for those that will listen,
Yes.
listen now or you're listening later on, whoever that is.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why I love this definition is because that means, which it for me has always been, that means that you have within you the ability to be great.
You do.
You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to do anything extraordinary.
Mhm.
Just being you,
Yeah.
and just being you
Mhm.
impacts people by itself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say I loved that definition. I really,
Good.
really do.
Good.
So for all those that are watching, all those that are listening, if you want to learn more about what Dr. Jeff brings and how he can be able to help, if you're a business person that's saying, I would love for him to speak into my business and speak to my staff and to me, please go down. You can get his link and information in the description and be able to connect with him. He has different various of ways. You can go on his website. His website to me, it just blesses me every time I go on there.
Thank
It
you.
makes me want to sign up every time I see it. And
Thank you.
but it because you can tell just from the moments that you see without even being honest. This is, and I don't want to say I'm biased because we're not friends yet, so I can't say
Oh,
we're
I thought we
biased.
were. We are now.
We are now. We are
We are
now.
now.
We are now. But when I went on there, I was like, you can tell that you are genuine.
Thank you. I
You
appreciate it.
can tell that you really have a real heart for people.
Thank you.
And so when you go on his website, when you look at his through his social media, you'll be able to see someone that has a genuine heart to help people in different various of ways. So if you need some help, connect with him, and you'll be able to get that insight and the wisdom that he has been able to bring to us even on today. So thank you again, Jeff, for coming on. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful conversation. And I can't wait to talk more with you in the future because I would love to continue having conversations with you as we go forward. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I pray that this conversation was impactful to you in some form of way. What I want to make sure is that not only are you hearing and learning this information, but that you're taking the time to apply something, some nugget, some piece that you took from this conversation that you can say, I can apply this for my life to be better. I want you to continue to be with me and make sure that you're with me every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I love you all, and I'll talk to you next time right here on the Focus on Greatness family.